In this video, we are going to be creating the drawing for the front portion of the T9 Automo blocks. So the first thing you're going to do is double click on your front sheet, and there is a good order of operations whenever you're starting a new drawing. So I'm going to go ahead and just switch over to my blank template here. That order of operations is going to be to set up all the necessary views, then add in center marks and center lines, and finally do your dimensions. So dimensions should be last. And so let's go ahead and do a base view, and I'm going to navigate and find my front part and hit open. We're going to start looking at the headlights. That's the view you should be in. If it's not, you can rotate that view cube to change it, but you should be looking at the headlights. And then I'm going to go ahead and add in my right side, my top, and my isometric, and make sure you're at a 1:1, and let's click OK. And all of our isometrics are going to be shaded, so you're probably going to have to double click back in there. Remember, shaded is under the style area, so I'm going to turn that on and then say OK. We'll leave that up in the top right corner for now. I'm going to kind of move these over a little bit. We still need a back view, a section view, and something called a detail view. So let's start with the back view first. Now to get a back view, I'm going to just use base again. Go and locate my front part and hit open. But this time I'm going to turn the view cube right here and flip it till I'm looking at the back, and I'm going to say OK. But the problem is that this thing is aligned and I can move it wherever I want, and I want it to be right over here and be perfectly aligned with the right side view. So to do that, I'm just going to move it over there for a second, and then while it's red, I'm going to right click and go to alignment, and we want horizontal alignment, and I'm going to left click that, right view, and then now it is now aligned with the right view. If you click and move this, it stays aligned. You see that path, that line that's keeping it aligned. So again, I right clicked, I went to alignment, horizontal, and then I right clicked to the right view to keep those two aligned. Alright, so we got two more views to add in, and then we can do center marks and center lines. The other view is a detail view. A detail view is when you take a portion. So for example, we want to take this portion and blow it up because there's a lot of detail in here that's very hard to see, and we want that at a larger scale. So you can see that this detail view has been added. You know, it's a circle with the B in it, which is referencing this detail view here, and it's blowing that up at a 3:1 instead of the 1:1 that we provided the view at. So I'm going to go ahead and go to detail up here. Now if you read in the lower left corner there of your screen, it wants you to select, hold on, sorry, one second, escape, detail. The first thing you do when you're on detail, you need to click the view that you want to add it to. So I'm going to click on this view, and then if you look down in the bottom left over here, it says select the center point of the fence. So wherever we start left clicking, that's where the center of that detail is going to occur. So I'm going to zoom in over here because we want the detail to be right here. So I'm going to left click somewhere in this area right here, and I'm going to left click, hold, and drag that out. Now don't worry if you don't like it, we can always resize or move it later on. So then once I kind of get it where I want, I'm going to left click again, and then now you'll see the detail view, and and what you're doing is locating where this thing's going to go. So I'm going to just left click here and add in that detail view. But I do want a little bit bigger, and I could have done this earlier, but I want to show you how to go back into it. You could just double click on this right here, and you could change the scale. So I want this to be at a 3:1, and I'm going to say OK. And you'll notice you'll need to keep moving things around to make things fit. That's okay. And so that's our detail view. If you want to resize or change it or move it, you have to first just left click on it once, and then you'll see that move icon pop up once you're hovering over it. And actually that's the resize. Oh, if you want to move, I'm sorry, you got to click in the middle. If you want to move it to change where that detail is at, and you'll notice as I move it, it's automatically adjusting up there, up top. So if you want to move, you left click it and click on the center to move it. So somewhere right about there. And if you want to resize, you can just grab one of these dots and kind of pull it in a little bit. So somewhere right about there is what you want. Alright, so that's the detail view. That's how you can create a detail view. And the other one that we need to add in is a section view. So we're going to do a section view over here, which would represent the left view. So here is your section view. It's section A-A, and this is your cutting plane. So the section view is like is as if you're cutting and slicing that thing open and then looking at it from the left view. Notice the arrowheads indicate which way the viewer is looking. So they're looking at it from the left side after it's been cut open, and they're looking inside. They can see the inside of this hole. They can see the depth of this notch right here, or that cutout for the socket. And we're using that to show interior detail and also provide dimensions. The A's reference the label underneath, so that way you know this is referencing this. So let's go ahead and add a section view. So I'm going to go to section. First thing you got to do after you do that is click on the view you want to add it. Now this part's important. It says enter the endpoints of the section line down there in the bottom. What we're pretty much doing is we're dictating where the cut is going to occur. Now I want this cut to occur right through the middle of this hole. So I'm not going to left click, I'm just going to reference it. So I'm going to hover over it, move my mouse straight up. Now this is where my first click is going to be. I'm going to left click once there. I'm going to go straight down, and I'm going to left click again. Notice my perpendicular icon there. So I'm going to left click there. So I only made 2 clicks. I just referenced the middle of the circle at the beginning. And then in order to create the section view after you're done with your clicks for the blade, you are going to right click and continue. And then if I zoom out and pan over, you can say, do you want the section view over here or do you want it over here? And this is just which way the viewer is going to be looking at it. We want it on this side. And you'll also notice you could adjust scale or the label if I want, but those two are good. So I'm just going to left click right here. And it is now added in the section view right there. So if you remember our procedures, or if you want to call it like order of operations, again, we add in all our views at the correct scales that we need. Then next thing is to add in center marks and center lines. So I'm just going to work my way around the drawing and start adding in center marks and center lines. So to do that, I'm going to go annotate. I'm going to add in center mark here. Whoops, not right there. Control Z to undo. Click on this circle. Where are you there? Right there. This circle right there. Go over here. I'm going to add in one right here, another one right there, right there, right there. We got another circle here. I'll come back and fix that one in a second. I got 4 more here. And then that should be good for center marks. Next thing we need to do is center lines. And remember, there's 2 different ways to add center lines. You either have this one where you're clicking the midpoints, or you have this one where you're clicking the outer edges of the cylindrical feature. So let's just start with this one. And I have a center line that I need to go from here to here for that hole. So you have to click, click, and then right click, create. I got another one here from here to here, right click, create. Now the other thing I want to show is that all these circles are on the same plane, so I'm going to run a center line from there to there, right click, create. I'm going to do the same thing here, from there to there, right click, create. Got 2 more down here. So anywhere you have those hidden cylindrical features, you're adding center lines. Now I did have issues with this one, so I'm not going to add a center line there. I know there should be one there. I don't know if it'll let me add that. No. So I'm going to undo that. So I got all of those center lines. So that should be all my center lines and center marks. And actually, while we're in here, let's adjust the center line layer. So I'm going to just click on one of these. So I'm going to left click this and then right click and go to edit center mark style. And a window should pop up here in a second. There it is. and you're going to change B and D. Now make sure you do 0.0625. 0.0625 for B and D. 0.0625. Save and close. What you'll notice is that it creates more of a pattern of that center line, a little bit easier to see. Let's go ahead and fix this center mark in the right side view. I'm going to hit escape. I'm going to just click on the center mark. I want to drag this down a little bit so I can see it. Drag this out a little bit. That's good right there. So that's all of our center marks and center lines. The next thing that you'll need to do is start adding in all of your dimensions. So when adding dimensions, you just need to make sure you're clicking in the right spots, and that, you know, if there's a TYP at the end, remember you can add that. It's all caps, TYP. So for example, let's start with, I'm going to do this view and this view with you, and then you're going to do the rest on your own. With this one, I also need to show you that too, because you got to use that hole and thread tool. So I'm going to add in, let's go ahead and start there. So dimension, I'm going to click on this edge. Now make sure when you do this that you don't click on the green dot. You just want to click on the line. I got my radius. Now there's two of those, so I'm going to put my cursor in front of this information. So I'm going to hit the left arrow on the keyboard and type a 2 capital X space and say OK. I'm going to move my way over to here. Now for this one, I got a dimension from this point to this point. And remember, when you see the dotted lines, that's the correct spacing. So I'm going to click there, and then I'm going to add TYP, all caps. Make sure you do a space there. And then there's another dimension from here to here. Now when you click it, I know that it's up there. You don't want that intersecting like that. So I'm going to say OK. But I need to click and drag this dimension down. So if you have, you should never have dimensions running into one another. So you can always click and move them. And then the next dimension is from here to here. I'm going to just pull that down here, and then I'm going to type TYP as well for that one. So again, moving dimensions, having proper spacing is all very important. Remember all those rules that we went over. If you go back into Unit 3 in our OneNote binder, you'll see the linear dimension guided notes, and you can check and reference those notes on the standards for when you're dimensioning a drawing. You want to make sure that you're meeting those standards and doing the dimensioning correctly. So I'm done with this view, I'm done with this view, so now I'll just work my way from here all the way over, and I'm going to let you go through and do those. The two that I wanted to show you are the holes. So the holes are, for example, like this one. You're not going to use a regular dimension whenever you're dimensioning holes. You should always use the hole and thread tool. So anytime you have a hole, use this tool. It will make your life easier and add in all the information for you. So I'm going to click on this hole, and I'm going to put it right about here, and there's 4 of those. So after I click it, I got to hit escape and then double click to get back in it. I'm going to put my cursor here and do a 4X because there's 4 of those. And that's running into there, so I'm just going to scoot that view over. So again, you're going to have to kind of tweak this and kind of keep moving some views to make sure that everything is fitting properly and nothing's running into each other. So what I want you to do, again, you'll have to add in this one. So I'm going to do a hole and thread, add this. There's 2 of those. Hit escape, go into that, click there, 2X. Say OK. What I want you to do now is finish up. You can freeze this on your screen, and you should finish up the remaining dimensions that you see here. And then you can go ahead and also screen clip this page into your binder for a grade.